Knives Out was directed by Rian Johnson and includes an all-star cast led by Daniel Craig. In a whodunit mystery, Detective Benoit Blanc investigates the murder of a wealthy business owner whose family is after the large will that he has left behind. Whodunits, I've always been a fan of these types of movies because if a film can leave me feeling shocked, that's what I love the most, and whodunits tend to do that quite often. There is always a twist at the end. On several occasions, those twists have left me going, wow, I never saw that coming, so props to them for doing that. And that's why I was excited to see Knives Out, because this movie looked like it would be a different kind of whodunit. And Rian Johnson, as a director, does not have a bad track record. I did like The Last Jedi, as you know, as well as Looper. I don't like Brick that much. Other people think that's his best movie, but it's not one of my favorites. Nonetheless, Rian Johnson directing a whodunit movie is exactly what I want. For the most part, Knives Out was a solid, good whodunit movie that takes a different direction and does not go down the formulaic road that a lot of whodunit movies do, which is one of my biggest praises for this movie. I like how unique this is for a whodunit. It's unlike anything else I've seen in a whodunit before. The cast is mesmerizing, with Daniel Craig as the main star, and he plays a detective who's trying to uncover this case, and he has a very odd southern accent in the movie. At first I was like, what kind of accent is this? And then eventually I put all the pieces together. It was really strange, but I dug it. I thought it was good, and Daniel Craig was great in this movie. And the rest of the cast, too, was awesome in the film. Ana de Armas, I hope I pronounced that right. She was great as one of the other main characters in the film. You also have a plethora of huge stars next to these two, including Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, Christopher Plummer, and Chris Evans are also in the film. Everyone is on their A game, and as characters, none of them were like one another, which is why this family was so fun to watch on the screen, because it felt like every single conversation that took place was an argument, and nobody gets along in this film, which creates some of the best scenes in the entire movie. One of my favorite moments in the film was when a few characters were talking about illegal immigrants coming into the country, and it reminded me so much of 2019, because there's no way you could ever change somebody's opinion. So just to see these people arguing about politics, like how they argue about politics in real life, it really was great. And I was laughing hysterically during that whole scene because of how ridiculous everyone was being in the scene. But plain and simple, this movie is at its very best in the first 40 or so minutes. That's where we get those classic whodunit scenes. The script and direction in this time span was smart, funny, and cohesive. The rest of the movie was not as good after this, but I'll get to that in a little bit. I really love the first 40 or so minutes though, because everything meshed so well together. This was a perfect blend of dialogue, editing, style. I loved it all. It was one nice, great treat. After that, though, the movie no longer feels like it's the same movie, and I give them credit for going in a different direction with a whodunit film, but they give away a little bit too much information for my liking, where the movie becomes no longer as much fun as it was in that first 40 minutes. It's like you're waiting for a big reveal and you feel like it's not going to happen until the very end, but then something happens and they show a lot of stuff and you're like, well, wait, where's the movie going to go from here? And after that happened, when this lunch scene takes place, once that is over, the movie was no longer as interesting for me. That's because the middle act of this movie is nothing close to the first act of this film. It's like they decided to replace the script with a whole new movie and said, here, forget about the first 40 minutes, let's do something different, and nobody will really care that much. And it turned out fine because there were more surprises that needed to be unwrapped at the end of this movie, but I thought it would have benefited this film so much more had they decided to not give us all that information towards the end of the first act, and instead kept the movie the same throughout the entirety, so this movie would have felt like one cohesive story, and you would have avoided the middle of this movie feeling totally different from that of the beginning and the end. It's really only the middle that I had a problem with, but the beginning of this movie was great. The ending does have some sharp reveals that can make everyone go home happy, but that middle of the movie right there definitely made this movie not as good as it could have been for myself. Still, this is quite a unique take on the whodunit genre of films. The cast is excellent in the movie, with Daniel Craig stealing the show, and the first 40 minutes I thought was the best part of the whole movie. I'm giving Knives Out a 77%. I forgot to mention, I did meet Rian Johnson a couple of weeks ago. He came into my internship. I work at a radio station in Philadelphia, and it was really cool. I got to shake his hand, talk to him for a little bit. So, Rian Johnson, you know what? It was cool seeing a movie made by him after getting to meet him for the first time, and I'll never forget it. But just a cool little tidbit to add at the end of this review. Alright, for those of you who have also seen Knives Out, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are of it. If you're new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.